Leone, and I am here with Ray Daniels, who started the Cicerone program. And we're going to talk a little bit about the Cicerone program because I think you get a lot of interesting questions, people here. By the way, we're at CBC 2013 in Washington, D.C. But let me ask you, what is the Cicerone program for those who don't know, and why do we need it?
Well, I mean, the shorthand description of it is that it's a beer sommelier program, if you know what a sommelier is in the wine world. Now, that kind of grabs that it's about beer service. The problem is, a lot of times when you say sommelier, people envision, a guy in a tuxedo with a towel over his arm standing next to a table providing advice on buying wines. That's less of what Cicerone is about. Cicerone is much more about the quality of beer. It's not easy to deliver beer to the customer in good shape, in good condition, so it's a big part of our emphasis. And then the second part of that is understanding beer styles, understanding the flavors of beer, being able to talk to people about beer, being able to write good menu descriptions, being able to coach staff through the process of selling beers, presenting beers to customers. A big part of the exam as you go up through the program is tasting and being able to taste a beer and tell whether it's in good shape or not, tell whether it's good enough to serve. And I was just describing to somebody the tasting exam for the second level Certified Cicerone exam. And one of them is beer acceptance. Customer ordered Sierra Nevada Pale Ale. It's an American-style Pale Ale. Customer doesn't think it tastes right. Is it good enough to serve, or is there a problem with the beer?
Right.
That's the question.
Yeah.
So all of that goes into it. There's 5 areas of knowledge. We talked about keeping and serving, beer styles, flavor and tasting, brewing process and ingredients, and then finally beer and food pairing. And that's the end of the program, the last category. It's 10% of the exam at the Certified Cicerone level. It's 20% of the exam on the Master Cicerone exam.
And so what type of people are taking this? And you can even bring in the first portion that everybody has to take as well, because there's probably different people taking different levels.
Right. It's definitely designed for sort of different job titles as you go through. The first level is called Certified Beer Server. So that is for, the frontline folks who sell and serve beer, wait staff, bartenders, sales people, all sales people at distributors and breweries. And even, a lot of beer-oriented companies are having every employee in the company do Certified Beer Server program. So they have some basic knowledge about beer. It's kind of depressing to work for a company that's in the beer business for 10, 15 years and go to a picnic and not be able to answer basic questions about beer, not understand that stuff. So a lot of companies are doing that. The second level then is more for seasoned beer professional, sort of what we say. A beverage manager, a bar manager at a place that is a beer-centric bar, a liquor store, beer buyer, a beer distributor, sales rep, specialty import sales rep who's going to be selling these kinds of beers, and certainly sales and marketing people at breweries, craft breweries that are selling multiple styles of beers. So that's sort of what those 2 levels are designed for. And then Master Cicerone is sort of, the be-all and end-all of beer at a certain level. We tell our Cicerones to be guides and not gods, but there's only 6 Master Cicerones at this point.
I was just going to say, tell everybody the hundreds of people that are Master Cicerones. And there are and 2 women, by the way.
Two out of the 6 are women, so it's very impressive. One Canadian, 5 Americans. I described the structure of the program as a Hershey's Kiss structure. It's really, really wide at the bottom, and then it gets to very, very pointy at the top. 20,000 certified beer servers at this point, 700 certified Cicerones, and then 6 Master Cicerones.
Okay, so you, how would you describe, and I've taken the certified level test, waiting on results, but how would you describe the difficulty for somebody at home going, geez, there's no way I could do that, or how would you describe the difficulty? It'd be hard for you, I guess, because you write the test.
Yeah, I try to keep a handle on, the difficulty level and keeping it consistent. At this point, I'm the old man in the company. I'm the guy who's been around long enough to sort of have some sense of perspective. And that is sort of my position. First level exam, it's 60, multiple choice and true-false questions. It's given online. There's a time limit, so you can't, do offline
Google,
research there. Yes, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
But that exam's the thing you can study for 5 to 8 hours and pass. And there's a couple of basic books that we recommend that people can read and get that. We also have an online education program that we offer. And for distributors and stuff, we go out and do on-site education for them when they want it. So that's pretty easy. And a lot of people take that first exam and are like, hot dog, we got that. Like next month we're going to do the second level.
Yeah.
And not so easy, that second level. And there, it's a big step up. I say, it's 10 times harder, literally 10 times harder, 10 times more information, 10 times more skill involved. There's no tasting exam at the first level. There's a tasting exam at the second level. There are 12 samples in that tasting exam, as you know.
Yep.
And, that's a challenge.
And a video portion as well.
There's a demonstration, on an issue of beer service.
Right.
It's more demanding. It's a 4-hour exam, all fill in the blank, no multiple choice.
And I will say, for anybody that's interested in taking it, just go online at cicerone.org and look at the syllabus. And that really is sums it up.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it can be a little daunting, by the way, when you first look at the syllabus, but when you start getting the books that you all recommend to read, and then it all starts to make sense. So.
Yeah. And we're an organization that doesn't require anyone to take classes from us. From the beginning, we didn't want to be a school that was posing as a certification organization. Take our class, and at the end, we'll give you a test and then give you a certificate. We set out to be a certification program, and that to be our number one thing. And so we published the syllabus at the beginning and said, here's the knowledge that we think that beer sales and service people ought to have. Not we, but everybody in the industry who we've consulted and talked to in putting this together. And we publish that and say, here's the knowledge we're going to test on each exam at each level. If you can walk in, it doesn't matter if we've ever seen you before. You can walk in, take the exam, and pass it. Boom, great, you're a certified Cicerone. And so that's really, the model we started with and the model we're sticking with. We offer training resources now, mostly because organizations kept coming to us and saying, we want resources, we want training. How do we do this? Come in and do something for our people. But we keep those two things very separate, and we try to keep that certification process pure.
Are you finding that that hopefully people are getting jobs once they get Cicerone certification? People changing careers? Is there? It's so new. Are you tracking any of that?
There's definitely some of that, and I definitely have a lot of anecdotal reports of people getting paid more as a result of having Cicerone certification. And I know a lot of breweries and a lot of interview situations these days either start with or somewhere during the interview they'll say, so where do you stand with the Cicerone program? And what have you done with that? Because it's and they're not necessarily saying, oh, you got to be a certified Cicerone to be in this job, although I'm seeing some of those as well. But some of it is like, I want some indication that you're passionate about beer, that you're interested in expanding your own knowledge and expertise in beer.
Right.
And this is be a proxy or an indication of how strong that is. And same is true with brewers that are interviewing distributors. They'll go in and say, have you guys gotten involved in the Cicerone program? What are you doing to educate your people?
Right.
And that's another place that it's being used. So a lot of what we're seeing is organizations, using it with their folks. That's far and away the biggest use. Now, there's plenty of individuals coming in and doing it as well, but we tend to have less communication with those folks and hear their stories a little bit less.
And I want to wrap up with this one topic that has gotten me in trouble with my wife and with many bartenders lately. And for some of you might know that already, and I've tweeted about this and have gotten some good responses. Things is that once you discover what a beer clean glass looks like and how to address it to the person that gives it to you, and you will never look at a glass the same again. So I have as delicately, as gingerly, and as nicely as I could. If the glass really, if it's just a little bit. A bubble sticking to the side, I don't make a big deal about it. But if I get it and the people want to fight, they're like, what are you talking about? We clean our glasses. So talk a little bit about that.
Man, that's a hard one. And how to broach it, how to discuss it with a bartender is even harder. And people ask me, well, what do you do? Do you send beer back? It's like, it depends on where. I mean, not often is the truth. But it depends. I travel a lot. I go in a lot of places. It's the first indicator of the quality of their beer program. Like you send me beer in a dirty glass. And it's like I can see it from the time you take the glass away from the faucet. I can tell where the glass is.
And once you know what the dirt is,
it
could be somebody's old beer. It could be detergent of some sort.
Right. Yeah, lots of things. And I'll go in places sometimes, and two of us will get a beer, and one of them will have a beautiful. The glass itself looks looks clean. There's no bubbles sticking to the side of the glass, but he's got a beautiful head on his, and I got nothing. Mine's absolutely dead.
Right.
So it's like, well, something happened differently to these two glasses. You know, they were washed on different days. The water was dirty one time. Didn't get the sanitizer rinsed out of this one, whatever it is. But yeah, it takes a number of steps to really get a beer glass right. And you can tell a place that's got a really top-notch beer program by the glass,
right?
By what the beer looks like when it arrives at the table, and what the glass looks like when you're done drinking,
right?
And so I mean, in a lot of senses, I'm using that as an assessment, you know, a mental note of like, you know, how are these guys doing here. Now, if I go into a brew pub in Chicago where I happen to be an investor, if they give me a beer clean glass, they're going to hear about it.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right.
Because I'm a regular, they know who I am,
sure.
and they're not going to give me any gruff about it. Yeah. But if I'm, you know, just some Joe Blow to the bartender who walked in, it's like, you know, all right.
Cool. Well, questions or comments, Paul at beeramerica.tv, but check out Cicerone.org, and they can reach you. And Ray, I appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know,
thanks,
you too.
Best of luck on the exam.
Hey, thanks.